This is the Daily Technology Pulse podcast from Daily Computers, the preferred technology provider for public and private sector organizations throughout Maryland and Virginia. Today's episode is brought to you by CODi Worldwide, using the power of preparation, teamwork, and adaptability to drive success in the dynamic world of public and private sector electronics and accessories. And now here's your host, Rick from Daily.
Joining us today on the Technology Pulse podcast, we have Anthony Piccioni. He is the VP of Sales for CODi. Anthony, how are you today?
Great, Rick. How about yourself?
I'm doing very well. Thanks so much for joining us on the podcast.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Well, we are looking forward to this one because I have to say, CODi, another one of our great partners here at Daily. We've done some really great stuff over the last couple of years that I've been here. And so we're really excited to tell folks all about CODi and how we are going to help them save some money, because that is a big topic. But before we get into that big topic, I want to give you the opportunity to introduce yourself and talk a little bit about CODi for those who may not know the company.
Thanks, Rick. CODi's been around since 1992. They were mainly a bag business. We purchased the company 6 years ago in 2018. I was a Marine Corps infantry officer. My business partner is my roommate from college. Grim was an F-18, F-35 pilot. He runs operations. I run sales. And John Ferretti's our third partner. He's been a serial entrepreneur for the last 35 years. And we've been fortunate enough to have him as our mentor through all this. CODi is mainly an computer accessories business. We have universal docking stations that work with any of the large OEMs, Dell, HP, Lenovo, Apple. We have a full line of headsets, anywhere from high-end to noise canceling down to USB headsets that are used in schools every day. And we have a full line of rugged cases and charging accessories that go along with any tablets that our end users are deploying. I would say that being a Marine, we've really tried to bring that same type of mindset to CODi. So how do we help our end users save money, but have the same outcome? So do more with less.
Oh, absolutely. And you have to these days. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about that really big repertoire, because I got to say, a lot of the feedback we've gotten from customers of Daily is, they had no idea that you had that much stuff available. But, we really got to start this off by talking about how things have really been going in education lately, because, education and state and local government, because that windfall that was coming from the federal government during and after the pandemic, and all of that extra money, because everybody had to upgrade and really do everything they could between the virtual learning and the virtual workplaces and whatnot. That's all starting to really dissipate now and almost disappear, right? The budget cycles are so much different these days.
And absolutely. And we're seeing it in the state and local governments, in our day-to-day schools, and how much the budgets have tightened up. We're only, 4 years to almost the day of the pandemic and when it started. And a lot of our end users that are in these local governments and education, their money only lasts so long. So if they're purchasing today, they need to know that that device is going to last them for 4 years, or it's going to last them for 3 years. And, that's essential in what they do. And we've tried to give those alternatives, whether it's cases, docking stations, charging solutions, to help them do more with less.
And you really are able to do that because, the one thing, again, that I've noticed from the CODi portfolio is you have a lot of different options and price points. And we always like to say to our customers, we're here to deliver solutions, not products. And so when you take that mindset like Daily does, and I know that's something that CODi shares, when you have that variety and you have those different options, like you said, when you were talking before about the headsets, you could go anywhere from, something really low end that the students are going to toss in their backpack and it's going to get bounced around from here, there, and everywhere, to the really higher end stuff where it's noise canceling, but you give that variety, you give those options. And that's something that I think a lot of folks need to understand is out there, particularly when they're trying their hardest to get those budgets. They're trying to work within those new budgetary constraints that they haven't had for a couple of years.
And you're absolutely right, Rick. And I would say the other thing, like if you, as DALY being a solution provider, and each one of your reps being an extension of their end users that are purchasing off you, because they're out there trying to source the best product for your clientele. And I would say with us, we don't want anybody to buy anything without using it. So we are all about sending out products, evaluation units. We want it to work within that end user's environment. We want them to drive it before you buy it. And if they're testing it in their environment and they realize, oh, wow. And that's really how we've grown our business. And it's been from a ground up approach of, each one of those end users using our products. And then once we're in, we've really grown the product, once we've got in with a school or a local government. They might have bought a docking station off us. And then they're like, oh, wow, you guys have headsets. You have keyboards. You have a charging cable that I can save 50% on. Wow. So that's the exciting part. And going back to you being a solution provider and us providing those solutions for your end users, we want your end users to use that stuff in their own environment before they purchase it.
And it's really funny when you talk about the charging cables. My great idea for a marketing campaign that we still have never launched, but I'm hoping one day to make happen, is to send out, looks like a takeout box with a bunch of cables. And do you want cables with that? Because a lot of people don't understand that, when you purchase a lot of these devices, you're not getting everything you need, particularly if you take a look at the remote workplace for the folks who are working in state and local government, and you've got that hybrid situation. You get a device, you get one charging cable with it, one. And a lot of times in those office settings, it's not plugged in somewhere where it's convenient to go try and unplug that thing. And so you've got to stop and think, okay, now when I take this home, now what am I going to do? Am I just going to run on battery power until it dies? Or am I going to move my desk at the risk of great soreness to my back and knocking everything else off of the top of the desk in order to try to get where this charging cable's plugged in?
And not only that, but there's a lot of devices out there today that, you might get the charging cable, but you don't get the wall block that goes along with it. So depending upon what OEM you might be purchasing, whether it's Apple or Samsung, and it might be a tablet, you might get the cable, you might get one cable, but you're not going to get that wall block that goes into the wall. So, if you're deploying 100, 500, 10,000, how do you help your purchasing in saving whenever you go out and buy that wall block for every single one of those employees or those school students? And we've had a lot of success with the wall blocks, the charging cables, because even if they're making it a year, that's getting thrown into kids' book bags every day. They're getting worn out after a year. So year 2, you're going to have to go out and buy another OEM's charging cables and wall blocks to redeploy. And, we're a great alternative when it comes to buying year 2, 3, and 4 and helping you extend, your budget and the life of the devices.
And that's really one of the things that's impressed me, again, about the CODi portfolio is you've got solutions no matter what OEM has made the product, no matter whether, like you said, whether it's a laptop, whether it's a tablet, whether a number of other different things, even, the mobile devices, the rugged mobile devices. So you've got solutions that will fit all of those different devices, no matter what OEM you're talking about, and you're doing it less than what it would cost to get it from the OEM. And I used to be one of those people. That said, oh, no, I'm only going to use the OEM. I'm going to pay the extra money because it's going to be extra durable and extra rugged. And it's not. That stuff is not better made. I would actually say having used your products, the stuff, the cable that I got from you a couple of weeks ago, the charging cable, that has been through Hades and back because my teenagers got a hold of it. And that thing is just, I'm not going to say it's indestructible because I don't want to make a claim that we can't back up, but that is tough. And I guarantee you that is nowhere near the cost of the cable had I gone to the original OEM.
And I would also say this, that our customers day in and day out are going to Amazon to purchase items on Amazon. And we've all done it. I mean, our family does it day in and day out because it's a lower price online that they see every day. Well, I will say this, that any of those products that are online, it's not if it's going to break, it's when it's going to break. Okay. So who are you going to call? Well, I'll tell you this, that if those end users out there are listening and they're going on Amazon and they're buying products because they need to hit a certain price point, have them reach out to your team. And I guarantee that we're the guys to help you compete. And if anything goes wrong with our stuff, they can have my cell phone number to call me because we stand by our product and we understand that everybody's in budgetary constraints and we can't share that pricing every day online. But through our value-added reseller partners like DALY and your sales reps out there every day, if there's a customer that has a need and we have to hit a price point, please reach out to your team because that's why we're here. And it's not doing us any good being in our warehouse.
No, and you bring up a really good point when you're talking about Amazon because that really is the easy button these days. Everybody goes there. But again, one of the things that I've noticed is you'll type in a search, say for, like you said, that wall block. It'll bring up hundreds, if not more, different options. And the funny thing is it's different names, but they all use the same photo. And then you're wondering, what are you really getting? And what's the guarantee behind this? How long is it going to last? Is particularly when it comes to those wall blocks. I mean, you get the wrong type, they heat up really quickly, or again, just bad things can happen when you don't know who you're buying from. Whereas we're providing that open door policy through DALY to CODi, where, like you said, you're willing to let people try it before they buy it. You stand behind it. You're a personal contact if they have an issue. I mean, that's not something you get from the nameless, faceless manufacturers where you have absolutely no idea where the stuff is coming from.
And Rick, that's a great. I mean, we'll talk to the warranty that all of our accessories come with a 1-year warranty. If they're in state, local, education, in some of these cases, they need, because of the bid, that they need to have a 3-year warranty. Well, we are willing to put together a plan that they could have a 3-year warranty if they need a 3-year warranty with your team. No problem. And then also on top of that, like I said, it's not if there's going to be a problem, it's when there's going to be a problem. All of our customer service is US based. We're south of Philly. I can tell you the guys you're going to talk to. It's going to be Jim, Tim, and Maureen and Karen. And that's who you're going to get on text chat. They have no problem hopping on a video call and working through the issue because we're very customer centric and we know that there's going to be problems. It's how do we approach those problems and how do we help everybody overcome them and still accomplish the mission every day.
Well, and so, we're talking a lot about like the cases and the power and or the charging cables and the power and all that kind of stuff. But, let's switch over to cases because this is another thing where, again, people think, oh, a case doesn't really matter. A case is a case is a case. And that definitely is not. I don't want to say this because it's going to be a huge pun, but that definitely is not the case. You've got these devices, and again, we're talking about budgetary constraints. We're talking about tightening budgets. We're talking about doing more with less. Well, these devices take a beating, and no matter who it is. Whether it's the students taking their Chromebooks and again throwing them in their backpacks, which then get thrown in a bus seat or get tossed into a locker, and those things take a beating. But even like the people on staff, the people in the offices, again, that hybrid workplace. I had one guy I was on a conference call with the other day whose cat jumped up on his desk and knocked his computer clear off the desk just because it felt like it. And these are things that we have in today's hybrid world. You didn't have this before. You didn't have cats roaming around the office unless, of course, they were working for the ASPCA. And now you've got that. You've got to protect these devices because the break fix on these things, it gets extensive. Replacement costs, it gets extensive. And a lot of times you go to those warranties from the OEMs and they're like, well, if it's normal wear and tear, we're willing to cover it. But, your cat jumping up and deciding to eat the screen doesn't quite fall under that, right?
So, you talked about a few different devices there, right? So let's kind of break that down. So into education and into state and local government, we're seeing a lot of Apple tablets, iPads going into those places. And those iPads are very, very, very expensive. So an alternative that the DALY team can provide via CODi is a rugged case, a Bluetooth keyboard case. And those rugged cases are drop tested. We have the Sani wipe, so they're able to wipe them down. I would put our rugged case up against almost anybody in the marketplace. And there's probably a 40% savings on cost. It's massive. And, that's an incredible offering. And we're all about protecting the devices. Then if you go to Chromebooks, we have clip-on cases for the Chromebooks, whether it's Dell, Lenovo, HP. And then we also have a full line of always-on cases of where it actually goes into the cut and sew. There's a place for the kids to put their chargers. And, it's very easy to zip back up and protect because, like you said, these devices, they're going to get beat up by the people who are using them, whether they're a 6-year-old kindergarten student or a 40-year-old worker that's bringing their laptop into work 3 days a week and they're riding on the train every day in and out of Baltimore. It's not easy anymore, right? And also these devices, they're not the $3,000 computer that they were, that huge heavy brick that sometimes you forget it's even in your bag as you're throwing your bag around. So from a protection piece, your team can provide any of your customers today via CODi, whether it's, rugged cases, Bluetooth keyboard cases for the Apple or Samsung or Microsoft. And then for any of the Chromebooks, we have the clip-on cases, the always-on cases. And like I said, Ricky, he works with us every day in your team, and he's all about sending out those samples and getting them in people's hands. Because, you might have to purchase those items not from DALY, those devices, you might be purchasing them somewhere else. But DALY can provide all the external alternative accessories to help those end users, and especially during these budgetary constraint times.
No, and that's certainly true. And then, another thing I wanted to talk about that you really hit home with is, you talk about getting things from OEMs and getting the different accessories and getting the different bundles from OEMs. But a lot of times you're not getting something from one OEM. You're getting, like you said, you're getting a Chromebook from Lenovo. You're getting a keyboard from Logitech. You're getting something else from somebody else. And then you've got your tablet from Apple. You got your iPad. So you've got all of these different things from all of these different OEMs that you're putting together into this package for whether it's your office worker, your agency worker, or whether it's a student or a staff member or a faculty member. And they've got all these different things. And what you're giving them is the easy button because they can come to one place and get whatever they need as far as power goes, as far as protection goes, and they can get it from one, solution provider without having to jump through a ton of hoops and say, okay, well, I'm going to order this from this person and this from these people. And you're again hitting that easy button for them with all of this portfolio that you have.
Yeah, and we do. I mean, we would love it all, but we understand that we have to start with one small piece to make believers. And where we have been able to come in and partner, we have grown that set drastically. And that's how we ended up with a portfolio as big as we have, because we've had incredible customers and great end users and great daily partners to give us feedback on where's this gap or where's that gap in the portfolio, so we can be a one-stop shop.
And, again, I'm going to go back to, say, our technology showcase events that we had last year where people were stopping by the CODi booth. And, it's funny because it almost mirrors the story with DALY over the past few years. We had that reputation where we were only, the client computing device company, or, I don't need a laptop. I don't need a desktop. I don't need a monitor. I don't need a keyboard. I don't need a mouse. And they didn't realize, oh, wow, DALY does this. DALY does this. And we've been changing that mindset. And I saw people's eyes and their reaction and their faces when you were showing them, and we have this docking station. And docking stations are huge nowadays. I mean, and most people don't realize, again, just how important they are until you're trying to plug all the different peripherals that you have into this one computer that's got two little ports on it.
Or if you're an IT manager at a school or one of our local governments that's deploying not just Apple, but they're deploying Lenovo, they're deploying HP, they're deploying Dell, and it's all going into the same environment. So how do you leverage that, and how do you make it easier for them to help manage? And like you were talking about, a universal docking station. We have a universal docking station that'll extend 2 monitors with Apple. It'll extend 3 monitors with Apple. And it will also do that with any of the other OEMs. And our price point is probably a $60 to $70 savings from anything else that's out there through DALY. And that's a massive savings whenever you're deploying a few hundred to a few thousand pieces in a rollout. So it's hopefully our end users take time to examine their bundle and actually look at the price of each one of these items. And maybe somebody listening will give us a try, and would be happy to send out samples for somebody to test. And we'll put it up against anything that's out there in the environment.
Well, and we definitely are hoping for that. But I got to say, the nice thing about it is, especially when you keep talking about the price point, it used to be when it came to procurement, okay, who's going to have to go without? Because we only have so much money for this, and we can only, that means we're only going to get so many of whatever it is, whether it's the wall blocks or whether it's the cases or whether it's the docking stations. It used to be, okay, who's going to have to go without because we're just not going to be able to get enough, or we just have enough. Heaven forbid if somebody new comes on board or somebody breaks one. Now we're giving them through CODi the opportunity to say everybody's going to get one, and we can even have several to spare because it's going to fit within that budgetary line item, and it's going to fit very nicely because, again, it's a situation where, and the quality is there because, of course, you have to do that because I've heard that from procurement people as well. When they've tried the Amazon solution, I went and bought a ton of them, and then the first 3 broke, and then we didn't want to use them anymore.
That's why I said we are all about putting evals into the environment, because in some cases you're not going to know. We're not going to know until we get it out there and they start using it on what's the setup, what monitors are you using? What are you hooking up to it? And every setup's a little bit different. And then that's why our team here is so important, because they're going to help our clients and your clients work through those situations to make sure that everybody gets the outcome that they want.
And you talk about that quality, and I'm going to go back to your military background only because I've got a background in the testing industry where I used to work. And I know military standard testing is no joke. And I have to say, anything you're gonna put on your own device is gonna probably have to meet that criteria, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is our name that we're putting on this. This isn't somebody else's name that we're putting on this. This is our names, and it's our credibility. And like I said before, we would never roll something out that we wouldn't use ourselves, or that we understand that a lot of the kids, we were kids whenever we went to school, but a lot of, ladies and gentlemen that we went to college with are all in large businesses, huge firms, and they're using our stuff every day. And we would never put ourselves out there to have a blemish on anything that we're doing. We try to make everything personal.
And you don't get that a lot in business today. You don't get that personal service. I mean, we have that here at DALY. Our company president, Ryan, he is all over things, and he gets people who call him good, bad, or indifferent every day, and he takes the call. And knowing that we have a partner who's like that in CODi, where again you are taking it personally, to us that gives us more peace of mind, and hopefully gives our customers more peace of mind.
We look forward to 2024 here. Like, we're pretty excited about the opportunities that we have, because there is a lot of turbulence in the marketplace. And when there's turbulence, we want people to feel comfortable with us. And we want to help them, show them the light of, it's one negative that they might have a smaller budget. It's a positive that they have to try other things. And, they might have to try other resellers, and DALY might get new opportunities because of, those new relationships. And hopefully that's the case. So together we can continue to grow their schools, their local governments, and provide them with a great outcome at a better price.
We're looking forward to those opportunities. And again, we certainly appreciate CODi. Anthony, any final thoughts before we wrap up this episode?
No, this is awesome, Rick. Thank you very much. Hopefully it was all right.
Oh, no, this is fantastic. And again, we thank you so much for the partnership, and anybody who is looking forward to trying out some of these fantastic CODi products, we certainly want you to give us a call here at DALY, and we will get you set up. As Anthony said, they've got the samples just waiting to head out the door. So don't miss out on your opportunity for that. Anthony, thanks again for joining the Technology Pulse. We appreciate you.
Thanks, Rick. Have a great one.
And that wraps up another insightful episode of the DALY Technology Pulse podcast. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Before we sign off, we want to take a moment to remind you of some important legal considerations. The views and opinions expressed by guests on the DALY Technology Pulse podcast are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of DALY Computers or its partners. The content provided in this podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be considered as professional advice. No part of this podcast may be reproduced, distributed, or transmitted in any form or by any means without the prior written permission of DALY Computers Inc. If you have any comments, questions, or suggestions, please feel free to reach out to us. You can find us at www.daly.com. The DALY Technology Pulse podcast will be back with more exciting discussions on the latest in technology. Until next time, stay curious and stay connected.